Great stuff. Thanks so much, Guy. Good morning, everyone. My name is John Tarrant. I'm the managing partner here at DNA. We help clients find, keep, and engage the talent they need to make their business successful. We're very much thought and practice leaders in all things EVP and employer branding, not only helping you define your EVP and employer brand, but crucially operationalizing it right across the employee lifecycle in a way that's distinct, so it's uniquely you. It's authentic, so what we sell together on the outside matches the internal reality, and it's compelling because everything that we do together is going to have to work hard for you every day. Um, we've got a neat tool called Brand Shift. Every touch point on that employee life cycle is an opportunity for us to show what makes you different and special. It's an engagement opportunity, if you will, to build those emotional relationships. And every single touch point is an opportunity to be obsessed about and maximized. As you look at that tube map, go sort of 3, 4, and 5 dots along. And that's what today's conversation is primarily all about. Building reputation. So, we always say if you want to be seen as a great employer, you've got to be seen in the first place. So building reputation for today's conversation is how you use social media to build your profile, to shape and share your story, and in so doing, sort of earn the right to have the right recruitment conversations. And the next stop along attraction, how do you use social media and AI to share your messaging in the online communities where your talent happens to gather? So the purpose of today is very much to share some of our insight and share some of our best practice. If we can help your thinking along a bit, if we can show you what best practice looks like, if we can give you a skeleton framework to operate against, then actually that's time well spent for us. Social media and AI are valuable tools, but they're constantly evolving. Frankly, what worked in the earliest part of 2025 doesn't work so well anymore, or doesn't work so well at all. With a clear strategy, robust execution, the rewards are very much there for you, but in the same way that social media and AI are constantly changing and constantly evolving. And let's face it, candidates are a fickle bunch. Candidates' preferences are changing just as quickly. So you also have to be dynamic in your approach. You cannot settle. In terms of this ever-changing scenario, I should point out that at the end of each quarter, DNA will be publishing a State of the Nation report on social media and AI trends so that you guys can stay fully up to date. If you'd like to be included on the distribution list, it is free. Just let us know either in the chat or at the end of the webinar. We'd be really happy to send you the reports. And based upon previous work that we've done with our HR, one thing that was pretty popular was a sort of a free 30-minute social media and employer branding surgery for any companies who would like a half-hour conversation with you about you, again with no agenda or expectation from a DNA point of view. So again, if that's something that you'd like to take advantage of, then please look out the details on that at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, here are the runners and riders for today. Guy gave you an excellent introduction. Alex from DNA is going to talk about the latest trends in social media. Annette, Director of Communications at Aggreko, is going to talk through their social story, where we went from no brand and no profile to an area where we're owning the narrative in some of the talent markets in which we operate. And finally, Max Bradshaw, who's one of our account managers here at DNA, is going to talk through how you can elevate all aspects of your employer brand and your social media presence through AI. So without further ado, Alex, over to you, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm just going to dive straight into it. So let's just take a temperature check on where social actually is. So I'm going to look at where it's been and where we are right now. So I think for talent teams and marketers, socials like truly changed. And it's going to continue to change. Like if you just think over the last 10 years, thinking back to 2015, LinkedIn was primarily just for resumes. TikTok didn't even exist. Instagram was still heavily focused on static photos. And in just such a short time, like it's just changed drastically. Even from January to June 2025, we've seen some significant changes. Instagram released the Edits app back in May. So it's just constantly changing. Like I read a study as well that found that on average, a person scrolls 4 times the equivalent of Mount Everest in just a year. So I think it's safe to say we're spending a lot of time on social media. Um, it's no longer an optional extra or simply a campaign element. Social media, it's the heartbeat of brands, and it's how you genuinely connect with talent, especially those early careers, hard to reach, and passive audiences. Um, this brings us to some clear realities. What is the truth? So social is primarily the way we find and connect with talent. While most of us might know this, it is worth repeating that we've moved far beyond simply posting our jobs on LinkedIn. Social has become the first crucial impression your brand makes with potential hires. So if you think about it as a job interview, a candidate's initial first impression, the way they present themselves, so like their demeanor, how they communicate can really shape how the interviewer sees them. And it's the same for a brand's presence. It sets the tone for all future interactions, quickly forming perceptions, building trust, and often deciding if people will engage further. So a strong first impression on social can open doors, just as presenting yourself confidently can start a good interview. Um, so it's where candidates begin to form an emotional connection, often long before they've even seen your job ad. So for many of you, your social content is the only impression they'll get to see of your culture, your values, and even your leadership style. So this leads me straight to the power of authenticity. So we're seeing that Gen Zs and millennials audiences, they love transparency. So we've seen a really big shift in what genuinely works on social. So polished visuals, corporate visuals, stuff that's overproduced, they're losing their appeal. And what truly cuts through now is real authenticity. So behind the scenes moments, unfiltered employee stories, just honest reflections. Um, like there's a flood of content out there right now, and don't get me wrong, some of it is good and it does make an impact, but the demand for genuine human connection is just stronger than ever. So for Gen Z and millennials, authenticity is a clear sign that just signals trust. So they're really drawn to it, and they'll scroll past anything that feels scripted or artificial. And that's precisely why um, for us, our employee advocacy program has been such a game changer. So when employees share their own stories in their own voice, it just lands so much better than a company just putting out a generic statement about their culture. Because if it's backed up by a story and a person, it adds so much more value. So building on this, it's clear that employee brand content consistently gets better results than corporate content. So there's a clear trend across every platform that employer brand content, this is specifically content about your people, your culture, and your impact, it always gets better engagement um, than general corporate updates or product news. And that's simply because people just connect with people. So they want to see themselves in your story. So they'll want to know who they're working with, what opportunities for growth that they'll have, and what meaningful contributions they'll be a part of. So this type of content doesn't just attract talent, it builds on a stronger brand presence and connection, deeper trust, and an overall broader reach. So I'm going to talk a little bit about key trends. Um, and with these key trends in mind, it's how it's shaping the immediate future of social talent. So short form video, it reigns supreme. So this trend is really worth highlighting. So if you think of TikTok, Reels, Shorts, um, LinkedIn, short form content is dominating for years. It's fast, easy to digest, and perfect for powerful storytelling. You don't need a high budget. You just need some careful planning and a clear message and a format that your audience will enjoy. So for employer branding teams, it's a gold mine because you just got to think of day in the life clips, peeks into new initiatives, brief employee introductions, why we love working here videos, it's all very effective. So beyond the individual posts, we're seeing a rise in community-led content. So at its core, like we all know, social is a conversation space. So the brands that are seeing the biggest impact are the ones that are creating content together directly with their people and their audiences. So consider strategies where your employees share videos, so film specifically for social, so they'll share their voice. Think about moments where an employee asks another one, what's the biggest trend on TikTok right now? Or a day in the life blog, or what's in my work bag tours, or this or that polls. And some of them may seem fun, but these kinds of interactions, even if they're planned, carry out a lot of weight and really spark interest. So this approach doesn't just significantly increase reach, it really builds trust and believability. And then finally, but most importantly, is purpose-driven messaging. It's become paramount. So more than ever, people want to work for organizations that stand for something. So whether it's a commitment to sustainability, a focus on inclusion, social impact, or a drive for innovation, social is the perfect platform where you can truly bring that purpose to life. And not just through stated values, but through real stories, tangible actions, and authentic voices of your people. Show them what you do, not just what you say, and empower your employees to be compelling storytellers. So this is exactly what we do in our employee advocacy program. I meet with advocates once a month and will help tailor their content to target specific goals. So these are people who truly love working where they work, and it's all authentic. I'm just helping them tell their story, sharing what their life is like at work, and reaching more and more people, creating a bigger impact. So depending on the business goals, say if it's you want to hire more quality candidates, that's where we'll help tailor the content towards, all while making sure it's got that authentic feel. So what does that mean for us right now? It's not just about attracting candidates. It's about building a brand that connects and reaches the right talent that will drive success. So I'm going to hand you over now to Annette to touch on their case study, learn a bit how they've smashed social, and they've got some really strong results. So over to you, Annette.
Thank you, Alex, and good morning, everybody. I'm Annette Ware. I'm the Communications Director at Aggreko. And if you're sitting there thinking, Aggreko, never heard of you, I guarantee that if you're either watching the 1975 or Charlie XCX over the weekend, that you will have come across us, because we're very proud to say that we power Glastonbury. So from the 400 restaurants, 42 kilometres of festoon lights, 100 stages, the TV broadcast, we produce all of the power for an event like that. And I'm proud to say it was totally on renewables as well, not a drop of diesel in sight. So we do some really cool things in some really cool places. So whether that's something like Glastonbury or F1, where we provide power, we also power 26 communities in the Amazon who have had no access to power whatsoever. And then things like data centers who can't actually connect to the grid for 5 to 10 years, we can provide bridging power for them. So we do fantastic stuff all over the world, a really strong purpose and a really strong sense of pride amongst our people. We have 7,000 people, 238 locations, 75 countries. So we're spread far and wide. So we're everywhere, but not everybody knows us. And so one of our big challenges was really, how do we get across to people what a fantastic place we are to work? So we've got this great story to tell, but we weren't telling it historically. We had a career site that was best of all out of date. In some places didn't exist. Sometimes it referred to a CEO from kind of 2 goes ago. Wasn't really owned anywhere. It wasn't very inspiring. We didn't use social media. So we weren't connecting with people outside of our organization. And yet we had huge amounts of pride within the organization. And it all started a year ago in January. I managed the communications team. We're a really small team, and we were up at our manufacturing facility in Lomongate up in Scotland. And our head of manufacturing just like knocked on the door and came in and said, oh, we're doing a graduate recruitment fair next week. And we're going, oh, brilliant, you know, what are you doing? What materials are you using? And she came in with a little A5 leaflet. And it was shocking. It was really shocking. I can't find it, unfortunately. I would have loved to have shown an image of it here. But it was, you know, it wasn't well done. Somebody had quickly knocked it up for them. And as a communications team, we were thinking, you cannot go out with that. That doesn't represent who we are. So we stopped our meeting. We sent 2 of my team down to the shop floor with their iPhones. We went, grab some pictures of some grads. And we quickly mocked up a leaflet, and we turned that around for them so that they were using some stuff that it was at least a little bit more representative of who we are at their careers fair. And really, that's how our journey started. And interestingly, you heard me right, we're a communications team. We're not a recruitment team. So we have an amazing recruitment team. They're absolutely brilliant, but they're not a marketing team. They're not a comms team. So that stuff didn't come naturally to them. They weren't doing a lot of that. And so we moved the accountability and one headcount from recruitment over to communications. And actually in that, one of the biggest fears of our head of recruitment was that the comms team would take the headcount and then kind of forget about recruitment marketing. But I'm really proud to say we're all really passionate about recruitment as much as our fellow recruiters are as well. So what did we want to achieve? Well, we had a few priorities. We had inconsistent messaging out there, as I said, for things like careers fairs. We had some pretty standard stuff. So we did things like producing collateral, little videos of who Aggreko are, helping hiring managers tell the story of Aggreko. You know, if it's not a well-known company, what hook do you use, especially with younger people, to get them thinking about the organisation? But most importantly, we wanted to build our profile online, which was completely non-existent. And we had a really pressing need at the time. We were desperate to recruit volumes of salespeople and technicians because the business had grown so much. And we wanted to raise our profile of our early careers campaign. And we wanted to do this in a way that was just reflective of us as an organisation. So we wanted to be straightforward. We wanted to be authentic. We really wanted to get across the pride we all had within our organisation. So picture the scene. We've got one headcount. We've got a small comms team, no budget, no online presence, loads of enthusiasm, and some really great content actually as well. But, you know, what was the next step? What did we do? Well, one of my options was to use that headcount to recruit that, that recruitment marketing unicorn, the person that would really be up to date with socials, that would understand our business quickly, that would get us the right content, all of that stuff. But we had a pressing need and we had no plan. So that wasn't necessarily the best way for us to accelerate, perhaps something further down the track, but it wasn't for now. And fortuitously, at the time, we were introduced to DNA by a colleague of ours, started conversations, and we really clicked, I think, culturally. What we loved, we were small organizations, we kind of had the same ideas, you know, it just felt really good chatting to DNA. So what we decided to do was, instead of using the headcount, convert the headcount to budget and use the budget to get DNA to support us on all this. And for anyone out there, finance directors love it when you reduce your headcount, right? So that was a really easy win with finance. Take a headcount off us, but thank you, we'll take the budget. And so we partnered with DNA. We gave them some ridiculous objectives. We operate at pace at Aggreko, and Alex will be nodding at that because we put him through his paces too. But we did set some really high objectives, and we needed to get stuff going very quickly. So it was an ambitious strategy. But actually, you know, it sounds a cliche, but we really have got an amazing partnership with DNA. They haven't paid me. They just asked me to speak today. There was no pressure whatsoever. But, you know, I think because we really do work as a team, we have live chat on a team site. All the work just flows through the team site. It does feel like an extension of our team. And I think that's why it's really worked for us. We've used our budget in the smartest possible way to buy in and partner with people who have got the expertise, which I know we wouldn't have been able to develop ourselves as quickly as we could have done. So we're really lucky we've got this. We've got a great relationship with DNA, and we also have a really good relationship with our recruitment team. As I said, our head of recruitment was really worried that, you know, comms would just take the money and run and perhaps forget about recruitment marketing. But I'm really proud to say she doesn't feel that at all. And we work in very strong partnership with them. So it's kind of a three-way partnership between ourselves, DNA, and our recruitment team. So what do we do then? Right, well, we basically post across LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and our careers channels are separate to our Aggreko corporate channels. That's something we agreed with the marketing community initially. So we have special careers channels, and we post 5 stories a week. And I remember when we first spoke to DNA, and they went, "You've got to do 5 stories a week, right? That's how we've got to get out there, keep it going." And we were thinking, oh my goodness me, 5 stories a week is a lot. But we've managed it. We've managed to get those 5 stories a week. Quite often, one of these posts is targeted to a specific role. So if we've got a hard to fill role, the recruiters will give us a role and go, "Can you get that one out for us? Can you see if that works for us?" And actually, we've been tracking those roles. And interestingly, one of the roles we advertised that was a hard to fill role, we advertised it, and an internal Aggreko person saw it on the careers channel, did a referral, and that's how the candidate came in. So we're actually appealing to people internally as well as potential candidates through the channels. But we're finding that that works really well, because by putting that out there, you're giving other people in that region or that function an opportunity to reshare it with their communities, as well as the recruiter. And I guess the critical thing here is how do we get the content? So we partnered with DNA on the strategy. We agreed the different areas that we could actually get content on. So we have a fairly robust framework, if you like, about, you know, what we gather the content against. And initially we thought, right, we can get content from people, everybody will be really excited by this. It was hard, no kidding. It was really hard to get other people to put their stories forward, even within the people community, even within the recruitment community. So what we did is we used our own social media network. We use Viva Engage. I'm sure many of you do too. But we literally mine Viva Engage every month for stories. And what we do is we pull the facts and any imagery and videos, and then we share those with DNA, and DNA take our bare facts and turn those into an engaging story that we then put on social media, or they put on social media for us. So what's really powerful is we might think, oh, this is a really interesting story. And Alex might go, it really isn't. Okay, that might be fantastic for you, but believe you me, people you're recruiting, not interested. So we get that really good impartial advice. We just provide the raw content, and then DNA convert that into stories for us. And where DNA are great is we share things like our engagement survey, our sustainability report, a whole host of stuff like that. And so DNA produce evergreen content for us as well. Excuse me. So when we're stuck on getting stories, we've got that content to fall back on. And I think, Alex, we plan now about a month ahead, don't we? We're feeling good, aren't we, when we've got a month, 6 weeks? So we're not living on a knife edge. We do sometimes with our job roles, and we do expect very quick turnarounds, and thank you, DNA, for doing those. But in general, we're about a month ahead to give us a bit of comfort on that. So it is time consuming, okay? I don't want to say it isn't. It is time consuming, but I guess as a comms team, we need those stories anyway. You know, our job is to tell stories within the organization. So it's really just using those stories for another purpose, but it's well worth it because they are authentic stories. And actually what's fascinating is watching how people internally respond to those when they're on social media. So where are we now? Well, we've got a strong messaging framework. As I said, we've got a strong content strategy. I'm pleased that we're consistently authentic. We are ourselves. So you've got some images coming up now of things like our careers site. And by the way, this was a parallel piece of work we did with DNA. We built a career site from scratch in an inordinately short amount of time. But I'm proud to say that I think it was we used to get about 4,000 hits a month on our old career sites. And that increased 4-fold at the time of launch. So that was incredible to see the difference the new career site make. And it's great then that we're driving candidates to the career site. So we have that. We've got fantastic performance across all our core channels, and the stats will come up shortly. But you'll see here the types of stories that we're posting. So this story here is from our career site. We're repurposing content from the career site into socials, driving people back to the career site. So we mine that for stories. Here's a great story. So this was one of them. We got out quickly when there were the blackouts in Iberia. Here, the team that we're in, sorting those out. So again, real stories and then real time stories as well, so that it makes sense to people. What we try and do is have a good variety of stories in different languages and from different parts of our business. We're a global business. Here's Pablo. He's our managing director in Latin America. He does regular vlogs. So we were featuring that in this post to reinforce our leadership style. And then here we go. We've got some colleagues in Jebel Ali doing fun stuff. They play a lot of cricket and sport and that sort of stuff. So we're trying to get a variety of different posts, but global posts as well from all across the world. So we're appealing to different people. And then this one's a fascinating one, right? So who knew everybody liked cable runs? So we thought, oh, cable runs, that's quite a cool thing to put a post out. This gets on most hits. It's absolutely phenomenal. So not only do we get all of our technicians jumping on going, oh my goodness, I've got this post on a cable run, and they're all showing their cable run pics. But then we've got lots of different technicians and engineers from other organizations showing off their cable runs as well. So cable runs are a winner for us. And we put that one out every now and then, Alex, don't we, to get everybody going. But they go down really, really well. And then, as I said earlier, we use a post a week on average to hire specific roles as well. So here we've got our electrical engineers that we're hiring in the Far East and Australia. So we will look for hard to fill roles. We catch up with recruiters every week, and then we will feature those hard to fill roles in our careers. And as I said, when I track those through, we have actually managed to fill all of our hard to fill roles. We can't say it's purely down to socials, but they have had a very positive impact by using these. And it's great. We've got the recruiters fighting for their roles to be up there. So I think we've got another couple of examples here as well. Yeah, so here's a role in Japan, just to show, again, we do local languages across the globe. And then I think we've got a video here that we had for National Apprenticeship Week in the UK as well. So as Alex said, short form video obviously is the way to go. And so that was just to add in for Apprentice Week in the UK. So lots of different type of content. I've explained where we source it from. But as I said, we take our raw content, we share that with DNA, and they turn that into engaging content for us. Okay, so what's next for us then? Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? Where do oh, sorry, numbers. I forgot about these. These are the critical things everybody wants to know about, aren't they? So as you can see, socials has had quite an impact for us. Bearing in mind, we started from nothing, and none of this is paid, right? We started from zero. We started channels that had no followers. And this is where we've got to 18 months in. So we're really, really proud, actually, of the impression we've created and the momentum we've created through our social media campaigns. And what's next? Well, we want to keep the momentum going, obviously. I think the great thing about DNA is they keep on prodding us. They keep on saying to us, but what about this? What about that? So Alex is on to us at the moment about TikTok. You've got to think about TikTok. You've got to think about TikTok. And he's absolutely right. We're thinking, oh my goodness me, how are we going to get enough content to persuade people to start posting on TikTok? So it's something we're definitely thinking about at the moment. But it's great to have a partner who's ahead of us, always pushing us, always getting us into the right space, because I think otherwise we'd rest on our laurels a little bit and fall behind. We're not chasing big overhauls. What we do is a bit of test and learn. So, we have lots of conversations about, should we try this post? It might not get anything, but let's just give it a go. What have we got to lose? So we use that continually. And we've got a brand refresh on the way. And so that, again, will give us another opportunity to just tell our story slightly differently, both visually and in terms of content as well. I guess for me as a close, and as I said, just to reassure you, no money has passed any hands in me talking about DNA. But I think the partnership for us has made a huge difference. We've got access to amazing variety of expertise, whether it's social media specialists or not. And if I take one example, we were trying to recruit female graduate technicians into the Middle East. Not an easy task. And so we partnered with DNA and we said to them, right, can you help us here? We did a specific social media campaign. And I'm really proud to say we recruited two young women from Africa who are now in our grad program in Dubai and thriving. They'd never left Africa before, but they responded to our social media campaign, and that was all through DNA. It's not something we would have tried before. So for us, partnering with people with that breadth of expertise it is really brilliant and gives us really the confidence that we're going to stay ahead and that we aren't going to lag behind this. So that's a quick whistle-stop tour of what we do. Really happy to answer any questions. And also, if anybody wants to get in touch with me independently, please feel free to do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Annette. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm just going to take you through a little bit about AI and social and the future of that. So there's been a lot of noise around AI theories and claims, but a real shortage of tangible examples and how to actually integrate it into your day-to-day. And why is this the case? Personally, I think it comes down to two core blockers. Either there's a perceived high barrier to entry, so the cost, skill, and the time demands, or there's this sense of gatekeeping, like it's a bit of wizardry that only a few are allowed to master. But neither of these feelings are genuinely the case. And today we're going to cut through that and compel you to take the reins to show you real practical examples that you can plug AI directly into your social processes. So it's absolutely critical to go from AI curious to AI native, because the truth in the context of social is that if you're not already experimenting with AI, you're not just behind, you're invisible. And here's why. So the first point here, it's not a threat to creativity. It's the biggest creative partner you haven't fully met yet. And there are kind of three core points that we can derive from this. So the first one, AI isn't here to replace creativity. It's here to remove friction. So the blank page, writer's block, in the kind of case of Aggreko, the what do we post this week panic. And the brands that are winning at the moment are the ones that are using it to amplify human insight and not shortcut it. Interfaces are becoming more and more intuitive. You don't need to be a developer. You just need curiosity and 20 minutes to play. The second point is that Harvard Business Review, McKinsey, and Gartner have all said the same thing. AI literacy will define growth, not just in marketing, but in HR, recruitment, internal comms, every function that communicates, creates, or makes decisions. Think of it that in the same way that being literate and social became a non-negotiable a decade ago, AI literacy is now the digital fluency. And finally, none of this tech is locked behind closed doors or massive budgets. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Midjourney, they're all either free or low cost and available to anyone with a login and a browser. Your competitors are using it to post more content more often. And even if you've got a stronger employer brand, better values, a better culture, if it's showing up more consistently in creativity, you'll win the attention. So at the risk of sounding hypocritical, let's shift to ways we can practically adopt AI into your social setup right now. And when we talk about using AI for social, especially in the context of employer branding and talent attraction, it helps to break it down into three core stages. So before the content exists, which is our plan stage, while you're creating it and sharing it, which is our publish stage, and after it's been pushed live, which is our learn and repeat stage. So for the planning stage, we can conduct audience research. So using tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity, we can build a quick, detailed audience profile. So things like, what might Gen Z expect from an employer brand, or what motivates women in engineering roles? You can get that direction really quickly. You can also use things for trend analysis. So exploding topics in Google Trends. You can see what's gaining interest in the talent space. Things like DE&I expectations, flexible working preferences, skills-based hiring trends, essentially what feelings should we be targeting? And finally, we can use AI to support content ideation. So setting up gems within Google Gemini can really help develop angles for your posts. You can train these gems with qualitative data really easily, like plugging in your pillars, your tone of voice, saving them, and then using them time and time again. So that's our plan phase. We've then got our publish phase. Pardon me. We can use AI to draft copy in specific tones. So you can train your own GPT to really understand your tone of voice, then ask it to draft captions at different levels of formality, or to tweak it to add humor, or to weave employer brand proof points in, like employee quotes, recognition pieces, or to add appropriate hooks, draft scripts for animations. Actually, Google Gems and custom GPTs are really great just to have an understanding of generally. You can mobilize them for so many different things, Like if you've already developed content, but you need to tailor it for a specific platform, it'll understand your tone of voice well enough to punch a legitimately accurate version out for you. And you can do so much more beyond the realm of social with just a basic understanding of these large language models. We can also explore hashtag and theme discovery. So often these tools are actually inbuilt into scheduling platforms like Sprout Social, and we can find really effective hashtags based on our campaign goals and job areas. So we might be looking for visibility or to grow engagements or to target a niche audience. We can also use it for subtitle generation. So for short form or long form video content, you can use plenty of tools for free or within your current Adobe suite to generate subtitles that are extremely accurate. Of course, you'll have to proofread the output, but it does the heavy lifting. If you're looking for something free and simple, you can upload to Restream.io or CapCut. And as I said, if you've already got the suite, Adobe Express can actually create visual subtitles for you almost instantly. And finally, we can start publishing more intelligently. So tools like Buffer or again Sprout Social offer AI-driven recommendations to help you plan for the best posting times for your target audience. LinkedIn now lets you schedule within the platform itself. So if you're running something like an employee advocacy program, you can use the tools to advise your advocates on their optimal posting times, and then they can schedule it themselves. And then we jump into the learn and repeat stage. So this is probably the most overlooked stage, but arguably the most valuable, especially for employer branding and TA teams who need to prove a return on investment and continually optimize. We can use AI to gain deeper insights. So fortunately, platforms like LinkedIn and Meta already have their own analytics tools, but we can use tools like Sprout Social to spot patterns faster than dashboards do, and then feed our findings into ChatGPT to derive the key actions and read through the lines. You can then prompt AI to suggest those little micro optimizations, so different calls to actions for the same post, different caption tones. It's test and learn, test and learn, test and learn. And last but not least, we can create AI generated reports. So you can then close the loop, this lovely loop we put together here, with the performance numbers, with the performance summaries. So specific for, either your leadership teams or for your hiring managers or your EB team, you can immediately understand the wins and the areas to improve in your social performance. You can interpret everything visually with charts using Claude or Gemini, and then define next month's content plan. As I said, your scheduling tool might be able to do this for you, but you can then feed the findings into an AI tool for a bit more depth or to create these kind of easy to interpret graphs. So then we'll jump into some key takeaways for you to summarize all of the above. The first is that AI isn't here to take the reins on creativity. It's here to take the weight off. It handles the repetitive stuff so you can focus on the meaningful stuff. The spark still has to come from you, the story, the strategy, and the soul. That's all human, but it might fundamentally be correct, but it's not always right when you use AI. But it will help you go from spark to execution faster than ever. It's not about replacement, it's about amplification. And so we've seen what the latest trends are. You've seen a powerful real life case study on how you can move from an unknown in the space to a primary player in the key talent market. And we've talked about leveraging AI through a content lifecycle. Unfortunately, we can tie all of this together in a way that delivers against your objective. So this is our best practice kind of model in social media, AI and more, from strategy to creation, to execution and measurement. So this is a sister to our brand shift model to elevate everything you've already carefully built and take it to the next level. It's called Brand Amplify. But I'm now just going to pass on to John to wrap up everything we've kind of discussed with 5 key points.
Great stuff. Thank you, Max. The key bit about that brand amplify model is, in the questions, lots of people were saying we don't have an EVP, or we've got an employer brand and it's out of date, or it's rubbish, or and that limits us on our social media journey. It really doesn't. Aggreko have shown that not having an up-to-date EVP employer brand doesn't need to define or limit where you are on your social journey. But yes, we produce beautiful creative work in close partnership with our Aggreko and all of our clients, but it's based on boring things like planning, measurement, robust project management. And what you see in front of you is basically a skeleton. So whatever size of business you are, whatever your geography is, that's the skeleton, and you put your meat on the bones, and you sort of respect the system. So again, we're really happy to share that with you. So in terms of key takeaways, Firstly, this is where first impressions are formed, and guess what? It might be your only impression if you don't get it right. First impressions aren't on your career site, they're not the job ad. As Alex mentioned earlier, social has gone from a channel to the space that, frankly, we all exist in. Number two, real voices cut through. Things like employee advocacy and your staff sharing their lived experience and their stories is very much your best contact engine. Matt, could you just go on to the second bullet point, please?
Of course.
Thank you. There's a fantastic stat where if you look at the talent market, 15% of potential candidates believe what the C-suite say, 25% believe what HR and TA say, but 66% believe what your existing employees say. So if you haven't got that authenticity, then frankly, you might struggle. You might have a great EVP, you might have a great employer brand, but if your competitors have got something that look like the brand amplifier model and they're getting their message out a lot more consistently, guess what? They win and you lose. The third point, it's very clear that the best brands are balancing both heart and head. If you're engaging people, then that's an emotional sell. So yes, be bold. Yes, be personal. Yes, have personality, but it's got to be targeted. You've got to segment it to your audience, and you've got to learn from your numbers. You can't improve what you don't accurately measure. So obsess, test and learn, accurately measure. The fourth bullet point here at DNA, we always say that the simplest definition of a brand is brand equals identity plus reputation. And you earn that reputation through repetition and evidence. Repetition and evidence builds reputation. So you've got to keep showing up. It's not about jazz hands, up like the rocket, down like the stick, and then radio silence for 51 weeks of the year. You've got to keep showing up. You've got to keep showing the proof. You've got to keep showing the evidence. You've got to build trust, as Alex said, and momentum matters. So play the long game, earn the right to build your reputation through repetition. And finally, from an AI point of view, AI is not the solution in and of itself that some people think it is, or the silver bullet. It's a key part of a truly powerful solution, but it's a key part. You use it to plan better, you use it to create faster, and you use it to learn quicker. And you use a reliable guide either internally. There's plenty of other good agencies out there, but you have a reliable guide to help you maximize the potential and stay ahead of a very rapidly evolving market. As we said, things that worked 6 months ago aren't working quite so well now. So those, I think, are the key takeaways. There's a statement in the brand amplifier model that Max showed you, which is never settle, and I think that's the key point. So I think we're going to hand over to